Hello, welcome to the first airing of the Eric Diaz Show. This is your host, Eric Diaz. And on this podcast, we are going to talk about mental illness, addiction, both policy, research, and personal stories. We're going to share stories about activism, activists, and how we can help each other, and also on what others in our community are doing. And today we're joined by an old friend of mine, Ashley Smith. And me and Ashley first met at the CPS program, Certified Peer Support Training, back in 2010. And now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Ashley Smith.
Hi, thank you so much for having me on the show, Eric.
Thank you for being here. And now, the first thing I was going to ask you is just get to know you questions. Where are you from originally?
Actually, I was born in Hawaii because my father was in the service for 13 years. Mm-hmm. But I was raised in the Bay Area up in Northern California. However, I call Atlanta home because I've been here long enough, since 99.
That's kind of like me. Are you familiar with Newark, California?
No, I'm not.
Newark, California holds up the eastern part of the Dumbarton Bridge.
Oh, okay.
In the San Francisco Bay Area. That's where I'm from originally.
Oh, that's awesome.
All right. And now let's get back. You are an activist and blogger and advocate for people with schizophrenia. And as someone, when you got involved with that because of personal experiences.
Yes.
And I was wondering, when did you first start having symptoms?
Actually, I'm not sure when I first started having symptoms, but I think looking back on doing research on it now, my first symptoms were thinking that I had special gifts and talents and abilities, such as decipher good spirits, evil spirits, good people, bad people, by simply looking at them. Other symptoms that I had before I was officially diagnosed was the hallucinations, hearing things, seeing things.
So you actually saw things?
Yes.
Because a lot of people only have auditory hallucinations, but you actually saw things.
Yes, I thought I was seeing ghosts or spirits. I didn't know that they were simply hallucinations. And this started happening. My first symptoms, which was the gift and talents and abilities and stuff like that started happening when I was probably about 16, 17 years old. However, it progressed. And I was not officially diagnosed until I was 20 years old. Oh, okay.
And what happened what happened to make you finally be diagnosed?
Actually, it's kind of a bizarre, almost like in a movie-like setting. I was actually arrested and jailed and eventually hospitalized. Mm-hmm. I had learned about my diagnosis through the legal institution because I was not cooperating with my attorney. I was not doing what I needed to do, taking care of personal hygiene, speaking to people, interacting with people, and just living. I had actually taken a military pickup truck from the airport and went on a high-speed chase with the police. And that's why I was arrested initially. And then I was then facing felony charges. However, they reduced it to a misdemeanor with time served because of my lack of criminal history, because of my official diagnosis of paranoid schizophrenia, and because I had some character references from my church family and friends and family.
Well, that's good. That's good to hear. Did you initially agree to take medication?
Actually, no. I was actually forced medicated. I was court mandated by the judge and with the support of my family to be medication compliant. And what that means is whenever I refused to take the medication in the state hospital and in the jail, the nurses would force me to take medication by either giving me an injection or things of that nature.
Oh, okay. Well, it's good. You'll never know by talking to you. All right. And what was the reintegration process like for you? A lot of people struggle to get their life back in order after a psychotic break. What was the process like for you?
It was a great process for me. I went through a program. It was very much similar to the ACT team, Assertive Community Treatment here in Georgia. I had several individuals that were supporting me along the way in my recovery. I had a nurse, I had a therapist, I had a education specialist and a housing specialist and other individuals who were also here to support me and to help me stay in my recovery. I was involved in a program that was like a clubhouse or an outpatient program where I visited them weekly. And so I'll go there probably about 3 or more times throughout the week. And I'll participate in different classes and things of that nature. And it was very much a positive experience because I was around other individuals, young individuals, who also had a diagnosis like mine or something similar, such as substance abuse, mental illness, bipolar disorder, anger concerns, or other things of that nature. However, it was just for individuals who were either 16 years to 24 years of age.
Okay, and me and Ashley met at the Certified Peer Specialist training.
Yes.
And the first thing you do at the CPS training is you have to say something that has nothing to do with your illness.
Yes.
And that was very hard for me because I basically identified with my illness. But did you ever have that problem? Did you ever just identify as someone would say, we use person first language, person with schizophrenia. Did you ever just identify as schizophrenic and just had that as part of your identity? And did you have trouble distinguishing between yourself and the illness?
I think that it was kind of a mixture. In the beginning, I would use the term schizophrenic, but now I no longer do because of the awareness that I gained from the Certified Peer Specialist training and using first-person language and human language and such. So I try to stay away from terms that are very stigmatizing, such as schizophrenic or mentally ill and things of that nature. When I talk about myself, I don't talk about myself as a schizophrenic. I talk about myself as living with schizophrenia, as living with a few diagnoses, which has progressed and evolved into schizoaffective disorder, which is bipolar disorder with the mania for me, as well as schizophrenia, depression, and anxiety. So I've changed over the years. I've been in recovery since 2007, and I've come a long way. I'm celebrating my first decade in recovery, which is very exciting. Like I said, I've come a long way. I mean, at one point I wasn't taking care of personal hygiene. At one point I was hearing and seeing things, and now I'm doing very well. I'm able to manage my life. I'm able to work part-time. I'm able to take care of my son, who I love dearly, and yes.
But what made you? One thing, a lot of people don't speak openly about mental illness, schizophrenia, and what made you decide to speak out?
Actually, when I started blogging back in September of 2008, I started blogging anonymously. So it wasn't really like I didn't know I was putting myself out there really because I was anonymous. No one knew who I was. I didn't realize that it would grow into something bigger and greater, such as my book, What's My Mind? Overcoming Schizophrenia. And so it picked me almost. And so when I became a member of NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, back in 2009, I started going through this program later on down the road in our own voice. And that's why I first started learning how to articulate my story, how to share my story along with a short film and go from there. And that's when I made the decision to become an advocate for people with a diagnosis of schizophrenia and other conditions.
Well, good for you. But also, I've noticed that you've moved on from your blog, Overcoming Schizophrenia, and now you're doing Embracing My Mind.
Yes.
And first off, the obvious question, now that you're no longer doing the blog, Overcoming Schizophrenia, do you feel that you've overcome it?
Oh, definitely no. I mean, even though I'm not blogging regularly like I used to, I still do occasionally blog from time to time. Embracing My Mind, EMM Enterprise, LLC, is my new organization where I'm sharing with other people how to write and how to collect their thoughts and ideas and put that on paper as a writing coach, a nonfiction writing coach. And so that's what I'm doing with EMM Enterprise, Embrace My Mind Enterprise.
Well, that's really cool. And how is that going?
It's going very well. It's very exciting. It's a lot of fun. I'm actually meeting a lot of interesting individuals, a lot of great individuals that are also in recovery, as well as other situations where they're just here to write, here to articulate their stories, here to share.
You teach your lessons on nonfiction, but do you ever write fiction?
No, I have not written. I mean, not since grade school, but I love to write. I've been writing since I was like 8 years old. I've always kept a journal, and it's really helped me in my recovery as far as my coping skills. It's helped me articulate myself even further in self-expression, and I just enjoy writing to the fullest because it's helped be an outlet for me.
Well, that's great, but there's two questions I have. You say you have the LLC, Embracing My Mind.
Yes.
How would people find that?
Yes, thank you so much. I have a Facebook page, which is EMM Enterprise LLC. I also have a website, which is emmenterprise.net.
All right, and there's a couple more questions. When you mentioned you're writing a memoir. When is this book coming out?
Yes, thank you so much for asking. I'm so excited. My follow-up book to What's My Mind Overcoming Schizophrenia is, excuse me, What's My Mind Coping Takes Work. What's My Mind Coping Takes Work is about my struggles, about my daily challenges, and about how I'm managing myself with my depression, and how I'm also managing my household as far as me and my son, who I call Big Boy. And he's 6 years old. He's in kindergarten now, which I love and appreciate so much. But yes, it's my follow-up book, Coping Takes Work, is about my coping skills. It's about managing my condition with the depression more so than the schizophrenia, because that's what I'm challenged with every single day.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap up our interview. But I want to give a big thank you to Ashley Smith, great activist and inspirational member of our community. And once again, that's Embracing My Mind on the Facebook page. And when her book comes out, it's going to be really interesting. And thank you for listening. And thank you for being on the Eric Diaz Show.
Thank you very much.